Hey everybody, it's Steven here from Craven Something Scary, where it's all horror all the time. Well, today I'm very excited to share that I'm not by myself. I have a friend with me to talk Scream 6. Today, my special guest is Alex from Podcast Now. Hey Alex.
Thank you for having me, buddy. I really appreciate it.
You are more than welcome. I'm so excited about our talk today and diving into Scream 6 with you and seeing what's on your mind, and I'll share what's on my mind. And by the end of the day, I think we'll come up with a good plan for the movie, if only we were writing it.
Right.
Exactly. So, anyway, so I thought we'd just kind of dive in. I know we've done a lot of Scream 5 talk, and that's on the plate too, so feel free. This is a spoiler discussion. So just want everyone to know there will be Scream 5 spoilers as they connect to the movie. You can't talk about 6 without,
Right, exactly.
and spoiling 5. You have to. So if you haven't seen 5, this is your chance to bail. Otherwise, we're going to lay it all out. So let's pick up, Alex, with Scream 5. And I think just to set everything up, let's remind the audience and everyone who's watching, what was your overall feelings on Scream 5? Just kind of an overall umbrella feeling of the movie.
So I liked it. I mean, I'm definitely glad it exists. It did a lot for the community, and we've talked about that before too, right? How it reaches even beyond the movie in itself, which is kind of cool, and maybe the point of films. But no, I overall liked it. I think it was a good first jump, and I was thinking about it too. I was recording a video a few days ago. I was thinking, like, if you think about it, these guys haven't had control over it for all that long. What they actually managed to accomplish is not half bad. You know what I mean? It
Hmm.
definitely could have been better, but it could have been a lot worse.
Yes.
So I'm overall happy with it. I think they've established some good characters. Sam may not be everybody's favorite, but then maybe Tara is that person for you. Mindy, I think,
Hmm.
was a really good stand-in for a Randy type. So I think they did everything they kind of needed to do. They didn't hurt themselves too much going into like Dewey is the only thing that you could argue, is that going to have a bad
Yeah.
ripple effect? But
Right.
having Sam is not necessarily a bad ripple effect. Tara's a positive. You do good things with Sydney and Gail overall, right? And they're in for the next one. So, like, I'd say overall, like, you've just done a pretty solid job, and you've left a future available to do whatever you want, and hopefully do some. And I've watched some of your live streams as well. Like, and I think the overall talk from the community is kind of same but different. Like, we want a
Hmm.
little bit of different, but we
Hmm.
also, it needs to be Scream. Let's not kid
Yes.
ourselves, but it
Right.
should be a little shaken up. That maybe more killers, or maybe we
Hmm.
find one of them out in the movie, or it's a cliffhanger. You got to do something in this next one to not make it stale.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, and it almost feels like every movie needs to be. They need to up the ante, if you will. They need to
Yeah,
raise the level up a little bit, and or raise the stakes. I hear a lot of people saying, every movie needs to raise the stakes.
yeah,
They killed Dewey, that raised the stakes. And it did. So now we're here and we're left with our survivors. We have Mindy and Chad, and we have Sam and Tara, and we have Gail and Sydney. We have 6 survivors, 4 new, 2 of the OG, and that's our group. That's who we have
yeah.
going into Scream 6. That's it. And so we started with 13 in Scream 5, and now we're
Quite
down
a
to
few of 'em.
6.
Yeah,
Yeah, and which that's part of a Scream movie, right?
it's
Most
actually
of
a
the
lot. It's actually more than normal that
yeah.
survive. So
That's right.
yeah.
It is. It is. It is. And so we have these 4 characters and the new characters, and then we have the OG. So my question is, what do you think about the direction we're going to go with? I'll start with the OG because I know, like, last I heard this week that Sydney, or I say Sydney, but Nev was in, negotiating in talks with the studio about
Yeah.
returning, and she's been very vocal about her openness
Oh yeah.
to return now. And Radio Silence has said if Nev wants to be in a movie, she's in the movie. Like, it's
Yeah,
not
it's the
even.
reverse. It's she's saying, I'm in if they want me, and they're saying, well, she's in as long as she wants to be. So, you
Yeah,
know,
so I'm
yeah,
negotiating. Maybe that just comes down to her
yeah,
fee.
money.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it comes down to what she's going to charge.
yeah,
So, and she should charge a lot because that movie's done
she
really
should.
well.
Yeah,
So she should go up on her fee, whatever it is.
yep,
But so let's say City does come back. I think. I mean, I don't. I think she's coming back. Would you agree? I think it's
oh yeah,
pretty locked
100%.
in. Yeah,
Yep,
100%. I think so too. And then the only other question I have is Gail, because Courtney Cox, she's been on the fence. I mean, remember Scream 4? She didn't even want it. She wanted to be killed, right?
Yep.
She was like, I'm done with this character. And Wes convinced her to not be killed in Scream 4 because they were going to do a trilogy and he
Yep.
would kill her later. That was kind of the deal they made. Well, of course, that didn't happen. So, but she came back for this movie, and she's also seemed fairly receptive and open. But what are your feelings on Courtney Cox? Do you think Gail will return for
Yeah.
six or not?
Yeah, I think she'll be back. There's an article of, they were interviewing her for that TV show she's doing, and she had
Mm-hmm.
said, if I'm alive, and oh yeah, it's non-spoiler, so I'm alive. Yeah, it's weird because like when you think about that, I liked her a lot in
Mm-hmm.
five. Like I don't want to
Yeah.
diminish that, but I do
Yeah.
think she was by far the weakest of the three. But
Mm-hmm.
that's not her fault. That's what they gave her.
Yes.
And you could argue even Sydney. I've seen a lot of people even in comments not very happy with how Sydney
Yeah.
was used or even her acting. I think she was fine acting wise, but
Oh
I
yeah.
I feel like it could very easily, and I don't necessarily want to make the comparison, but it could be a Star Wars thing where it's literally supposed to be okay, 7 was Han, 8 was Luke, 9 was Leia. That was the original plan. And I mean
Yeah.
that I don't think that's a good plan and it didn't work in my opinion, but
Yeah.
I think
I'm
you
with
could
you.
do that for especially even what you said with Courtney if the idea behind the scenes is I don't want to do this forever and maybe I'll do this trilogy or maybe I'll just do 2, make her more of make her the Dewey of 6 and
Of
then you
six.
could kill her off there if you want. I mean, I think people would start to get a little mad though. That's the thing you have to worry about. I think people would
Mm-hmm.
start to get mad though if 2 movies in a row the OGs start to just drop. You can maybe
Right.
expect that to happen, and like you said, raising the stakes. Well, what's bigger than Dewey? There's only 2 people bigger. I wouldn't even
Yes.
killing Sam is not as big. It's just not. So
It's not.
so killing Gale and then killing Sydney would be the next 2.
Oh
Sydney, I don't think will ever die, and Nev's
no.
made that perfectly clear. She's not coming back. If
Yep.
that happens, so I'm glad
Mm-hmm.
for her to say that. Courtney has
Yes.
not said that though. So
Nope.
so
She's not.
so yeah. So I
Yeah.
think she could easily come back, could easily die, or could die in the trilogy finale, something like that. But I do think she'll be back.
Yeah. I agree. I think she'll be back as well. And I wonder, Alex, do you think we might have a Cotton Weary opening kill with Gale
Oh
Weathers?
shoot, could be because what are you gonna do with her? That's the
Right.
like what. Not saying again like because I don't want to diminish them, because they are so cool characters and you could do a lot with them. But what do you choose to do with them? It depends on the setting. What I mean?
It
Like, what are you going to do
does.
with Sam and Tara? That's really you have to
Yeah.
build it from them. So wherever they are, can you get Gale there? Can you?
Right.
But yet again, you do have the idea of what's her life like without Dewey. And
True.
again, as we've talked about, in these videos and live streams, like you never really see it ever. And now you can
No.
because she even talked about like, I'm going to write a book. So there should be a
Yeah.
book tour or there should be something where we see the impact that Dewey had on her. And you can't do that if killing her in the beginning would be something, but I mean, you can't see that impact of what his life
True.
meant on her or what
Yep.
his death now means on her. Is she sold it well in 5, but now
Mm-hmm.
let's see what it's like, and that shows also respect to Dewey. That's how you can get
It
him
does.
in spirit back in the future movie. So
Yes.
what I mean. So I think
Totally.
keeping around just a little bit, if nothing else, just to
Mm-hmm.
connect her to Dewey, and maybe the book tour takes her to Sam and Tara, and she ends up helping out. Whatever.
Right. Yeah. Well, and it kind of would mirror 4,
Yeah.
right? 'Cause with
Yeah.
Sydney's book tour comes to Woodsboro, and I don't know if they want to copy that like so on the nose,
Yeah.
but it makes sense though because I think that it would be a nice thing in this movie if we see a book cover with Dewey's picture on the
Yeah.
front.
Oh, absolutely.
And you want that connection there, and you're right. That will make us feel, even though he's not there, we're gonna have that warmth in our hearts when we see his face on the book
Oh
cover or
yeah, even if
whatever.
you had the picture that he gave
Yeah,
them, that you see of the 2 of them in his
yeah,
like if that was the book, like that'd be sweet.
yeah. Oh,
That'd be a
it
nice little
would.
thing.
It would be a little
But
thing
something
that would.
I think it should be real. It should actually be the 2 of them in real life. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think is you can't bring him back in any other way. Not that you
Right.
necessarily have to show visually like have him act in a scene,
Hmm.
but it would be he's so that would be disrespectful to me. That would be a thing of a legacy character that
Yeah.
you use to kill off to get people in, and then you don't really care about them afterwards. No, I mean he has a legacy that only 2 other people in this franchise has. Maybe
That's
Randy.
right.
There he
Yeah.
is.
There he is right there. Yeah, man. What a movie. What a job he did in 5, man.
Yeah,
That
he
was
did. He did
so
so good.
so good, man. And so I guess with 6, yeah, I think that I'm with you. I hope she's not the opening kill. I threw that up there as a topic to talk about, but I hope
It's
that
a
she's not.
it's a crazy one. It
Yeah,
again is like anything can happen. So I'm
true.
up for the idea of Sam being attacked, maybe not dying or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. It's like a Sydney 4 kind of opening idea. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the
Right.
thing with the opening too. We've talked about the opening. It's tough because are you gonna do 1 and 5 again? You know what I mean? But
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of like a beginning of these movie thing. So then
Yep.
the second
Yep.
one, you try to do something different, and you can't do a movie theater, you can't do a cotton thing, you can't do
Mm.
stab. You can't, you know what I mean? So you have to.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I truly don't actually know what you do. To be
What do you
honest with
do?
you.
Yeah, because openings are so iconic for the franchise.
Oh yeah.
Everyone who's a fan of the franchise, we all are looking forward to what's the opening going to be, the opening kill, you
Yeah.
know?
It almost has
And,
to be a big Hollywood name, which is like the idea of
mm,
2. But
yep,
or 4. These 4 had,
4,
Kristen
yep,
Bell and all that stuff. But
right,
but you have to do it just in a unique way. But it could
yeah,
easily be some sort of higher, like some cameo fun thing that then ties into, even but like 4, it did because their characters in that world, and there was the deleted scene that was taken out, but they really
mm-hmm,
had no impact to, what I mean, that
right,
those two they had no impact to it. So I
no,
think 2 had a little bit more because then it immediately connects to Sydney on the, in her dorm and stuff, so that was a little bit better.
yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, I really don't know what you do though.
Well, I had an idea that I thought would be fun, and
Okay.
it is a celebrity. All right, so it's an opening kill. I thought, how fun would it be if they brought in Samara Weaving, and who already has a
Yeah.
connection with Radio or Not, with Radio Silence and the writers
Oh
from
yeah.
Radio, so they all know each other already. They've worked together. What if they brought Samara Weaving in for the opening kill, and she's the one that dies in the opening scene? I
I'd
thought,
like it. That'd
yeah,
be
I think
smart.
it'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
To be a
you know,
big name, like she could lead a movie. She was supposed to lead this
yeah,
movie, in the first place, and then you
that's
kill her.
right.
Yeah, I think you gotta go. I think you gotta go cameo.
Hmm.
I don't know what you necessarily. You don't. Maybe you don't have to even kill them. You probably do though, because I
Yeah.
think they just know. You have to look back and say, well, what has worked
Hmm.
with the majority of the. You know what I mean? With the majority of the group, because
Yeah.
some people really like 4s, but I don't. I don't think that's a blueprint. I don't think you follow,
Right.
what I mean, for future ones. I
True.
just don't know if the mass audience would like an opening again like 4, and you really can never do that again. So I think cameo, big name, somebody that everybody
Hmm.
kind of knows that maybe they like
Yep.
Scream, in their personal life. Like that's got to be the way you do it.
Yeah. Agreed. 100%, man. Because, and I want to get back to having to kill. 5 made sense because the cops showed up. The alarm. The cops showed up, and maybe that they would have killed Amber. I mean Tara. Either if the cops hadn't showed up, they may have killed her. Maybe they're not. Maybe I still think there was. I
Yeah.
mean, you can make the. I think you can make the argument either way. That they were just interrupted,
They
or that they.
certainly weren't acting when they were physically attacking her like they
Yeah.
were going to let her go. But I think the
No.
plan from the movie perspective was to not kill. But that's how it
Right.
always is. Like when
Sure.
Stu attacks Sydney in 1, like, well, were you
Hmm.
going to stab her through the chest and not kill her there? What
Right.
was the plan? You
Yeah,
know?
there's a plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. We got to work these scenes to fit our agenda of the movie we're
Yeah.
writing, and
Yeah.
so. But I have to say, I hope that's the only time we
I think
don't
it
have a
was.
kill in the opening, Alex.
It's
I
such a
want
big thing
it
not
is.
killing
Yes.
that you can't do it more than once. You know what
Agreed.
I mean?
100% agree. That's how I feel about it. And I feel like, okay, you can do this one time. I'll let it go. I'll
Yeah.
accept it this once. But
Yeah.
no, moving forward, it's got to be a brutal kill. And then you got to be dead. Drew Barrymore gutted on the tree. I mean, dead. No
Yeah.
chance of survival. And I'm hoping that we'll get that in 6. I think we will. I think that like you say, it was more serving the purpose of 5,
Yeah.
that they wanted to get Tara. They wanted to keep her alive. They didn't want her to die, so
Right.
they made it work that way.
Yeah.
So I'm all for the big celebrity
You could even
cameo.
do Chad or
Yeah,
probably
you
not
could.
Mindy. You could do Chad. Chad would
Good.
probably be one of the 4 that,
It's true. I think so too. Now let's talk about the twins. That's a great transition
the
because
twins.
I love the twins. I predicted before five, and all my videos are on the channel. I predicted Chad was dead. I said he's not going to
Same.
survive. He's Mindy will survive. I called her from day one, but I said not Chad. Well, apparently originally Chad was going to die. That's what
Right.
we've heard,
Yep.
and they filmed it twice. It's like they did with Dewey, like Wes did with Dewey, and they decided, as we know, to keep him alive. After all,
Yep.
so I'm sticking with my guns, man. I'm doubling down. Chad is dying in six. Okay,
Yep.
I'm totally going
I
there,
agree.
and I think Mindy's the one you want alive because I think she brings that role, or she fills that role that we all love of the movie geek, like we are. She's
Oh
that
yeah.
person where we can relate to him. And we're like, yeah, I get it. I get her.
Yep.
And she's got all the knowledge, as we know. And Chad doesn't have those things. So
Right.
to keep Chad and kill Mindy to me makes zero sense. It
Yeah.
just
No, that
doesn't.
that'd be a mistake. Yeah.
I think it would.
Just for the simple fact that and I like Mindy and her
Yeah.
actress did a really really good job.
Yeah.
So it's not again taking away from that, but she factually fills the role.
Yeah.
She had the monologues like that solidifies her as Randy. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Chad doesn't. So if you
Right.
have to pick for, I really feel like Chad was almost just to keep him, just to keep another person, like because you maybe don't want to end it with and maybe you could have him be killed. You have to because you have four. That's such a big. It's weird to say that it's such a big number
Yeah.
for
It is.
survivors, and you're going to add more now. In two, everybody they added also died except Cotton kind of was re-added. I don't know if you
Hmm.
would count him. So I don't know. They could keep the four, introduce a whole new cast, literally kill every single one of them,
It
and have
could.
them be the killers and stuff, and then keep the four going into the final one. There's no way they all survive going
Right.
at the end of seven. There's just no way. So
Oh yeah.
I
No.
don't know. One of the four has to die, I think. And that could be your raising the stakes because if you don't want to kill, you could do that. You could kill Gail and Chad. You could
Yep.
kill Sam and keep Chad, Mindy, Tara. So I mean, there's options, but
Could.
I think one of the four needs to die. And if it's Chad, then maybe you open up a Gail as well.
I think right now, and again, this is so early, right? This is so early. It's February the 10th, and but this is
But
what the
not
fun
that
of it
early
is.
because of the
It's
filming
not
this summer.
true, right? We're gonna have a cast list coming out in the next couple of months. They got to start coming out.
Yep.
So I think, and I know it's a risky move. We touched on it earlier, so I won't repeat everything, but I do think I'm going to go on record now saying Gail will die in six. I don't think it's going to happen opening kill. I think it's going to happen later, somewhere in the middle, maybe in the middle, like Dewey, somewhere
Yeah.
along there. I do think she'll die. I think Chad will die, and so I think we're only going to be left with Sydney. I think Sam. Now here's Sam's the wild card. I got to tell
Yeah.
you, let's transition to Sam because let me just finish my thought. So Sam and Tara we're going to talk about, but as far as the other folks we've mentioned, I think it's just going to be Mindy and Sydney. And Sydney will be the. I mean, Sam will be. Oh my gosh, Sydney. Too
There's so
many
many
S's.
options.
I know.
Yeah, too many.
Sydney will be the only OG for seven. She's going to be the last one, and she'll always be the last one. She'll never die, like we talked about. She will not come back if they're going to kill her. So I hope, and again, I don't have anything against Gail. Don't get me wrong. It sounds like it's not that I don't like Gail or I want her to die. I just feel like that's what's going to happen. I think she's going to die. I think she's going to say, "I'll come back one more, kill me off in the middle, and I'm out." And I'm out. From the franchise, do
Yeah.
the book tour thing, whatever. Get that out in the early part of the movie, and
Yeah.
then she dies after that's done. So we get the Dewey stuff early with the book.
Yeah.
But anyway, now let's talk about. So we're good. I think we both agree that Chad dies, Mindy lives.
Good as done.
We're gonna go with that for now, right?
Yep.
And then Gail, I'm gonna say she's dead. What if you had to say today? We can change it tomorrow, so
Yeah,
it's okay.
I think they'll kill her. I do.
Yeah, I do too.
I,
So
I,
you and I are. I
they're
mean,
gonna they gotta go big. I just feel I don't know.
yeah.
Maybe they like Star Wars a lot. So
I have to say, the parallels are a little
it's very
creepy, bro.
strong.
They're very similar, and I'm like, okay. And the fact that they even had Ryan Johnson as the director, I'm like, oh, come on now, we're getting,
Do it. Do it.
it's like, okay, all right. So now let's talk about our two leading ladies, our final girls outside of Sydney, of course, Sam and Tara. Now, I've been talking on my channel for a little bit about the idea, and I think even our last stream we did together, I mentioned this that the way that here, look at this, man. Look at this. Look at that.
A
Tell me,
cold-blooded killer.
bro. I'm telling you right there, the way that she relished and enjoyed killing Richie. And I've said this just the other day. My favorite kill of the entire movie was Sam killing Richie. It was more than the Ghostface kills. That was my most favorite of the whole movie. And when you see her stabbing, not once or twice or even 4 or 5 times, but when she stabs 22 times, the scene goes on for 30, 45 seconds of stabbing. And it's like, doesn't stop for a long, long time. So it's like 20. And when Paramount Plus comes out on March 1st, so like 3 weeks from now, and I'm going to be dissecting the movie ad nauseum. But my count right now, Alex, is 22.
Oh my
22
gosh.
stab wounds. That's one through the cheeks and one through the neck when he gets his final ending, and then 20 others. So 20 to the torso. You don't stab someone 22 times unless you're having a good time.
Yeah.
You're enjoying it. In fact, you almost see her getting into it the more she does it, and then you get the backsplash, all the blood on her face, all the back splatter on her, and then she does the move, Alex, and I'm going to do it. She does the move. She does the ghost face move with the blade, and I said, okay, from that moment right there, when that happened, and then of course we have Daddy looking down, being very happy with what just happened, and I have felt since that moment that they may be showing us that Sam may have a dark side that she's going to be wrestling with now. She's killed somebody, that she's going to like it. And when she leaves the house, Alex, what happens? When she walks outside, she looks down at like a puddle of water or something on the road, and there's Billy again. So she's still seeing him. So my thought is this, and I want your opinion. What if we see Sam struggle immensely in 6 with this desire to kill? Maybe Billy starts telling her, what are you doing? You need to take them out. They don't need to be here anymore. Whatever. Something like
Yeah.
this, right? And we see this struggle with her, and then at the very end we find out that she was either one of the Ghostface killers, or that she snaps, and basically she just completely loses it. And we find that Tara is the hero. She's the final girl of 6, and maybe even kills her sister if she has to.
Yeah.
And she's the one in 7 that's left as one standing. What do you think about that
Yeah.
idea?
I love the idea of messing with Sam not messing, well, I guess mentally messing with her too, but
Yeah.
no, just the idea of, like you said, wrestling with it, and you can take it so many different ways. But I think it would be a very dumb thing to not follow it, because you're right. Like
Yeah.
you just flat out don't do that if you're okay. If you're
No.
if you're a true Sydney like final girl, and that's why,
Yes.
because it's almost like they have two different sides to them, to the Carpenter sisters, right? That
Right.
Tara is maybe the more innocent and the more like just good, and Sam is wrestling with that stuff. But to let the, I mean, I love what actually you just said too. You could even have it where you have like I guess you could do it where like Sam doesn't trust people. And so maybe she actually ends up brutally or massively injuring, or maybe even killing somebody, because she
Yeah.
thinks very heavily they are the killer. Because really, you could do the same thing with Sydney with the trust issues, but Sam would have much
Yes.
worse. I think she'd have much worse. She'd have more aggressive trust issues in terms of, not
Oh
only do I
yeah.
not trust you, but I trust you so little that I need to kill you. Like you said, because Billy could be saying, well, how do you not know that he's the killer? He could very easily be the killer. And Sam's like, shoot, you're right, he is the killer. And then she kills him. So I'd
Yeah.
love to see something towards the end where there's a couple survivors left, the new group, and then somehow she gets convinced that one of them is the killer, and maybe she kills one, and they're not actually Ghostface. They're not actually the killer. Maybe the other two reveal themselves. That would be so cool. Now I don't know how you redeem Sam from if you did that, which I think that
Yeah.
would be very bold and very different and awesome. I don't know how you redeem her, because I don't know. If you don't make her go off the deep end entirely, you still had her kill an innocent person. So now what do you do? Do you have her go to jail? I don't know. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, they could make her the killer. I think just the way they talk about her, they're not. But that's just the way I'm reading into it. I just kind of get that sense they're not going to do that. But it would be so bad if they did not lean into at least have her. She needs to at least injure somebody
Mm-hmm.
that's innocent.
Yeah.
Because she's influenced by Billy. I think she absolutely needs to do that.
Agreed. And if you do a situation where you injure or she injures someone, they could be like, "Hey, I'm not going to press charges. It's okay." So
Yeah,
she doesn't.
that's your redemption. That's the way you can, you
Yes.
can forgive. Is I get it. You're working through things, and I'm not
Yeah.
dead. Because if you kill
Right.
the person off,
Yeah.
that's a tough one. Unless
That one
she's right.
is.
Maybe she's right. Maybe she actually kills the good. That's another huge. Imagine how different that would be. Like Sydney killed Billy before the final act because she had a hunch and she turned out to be right. You know what I mean? Like you could do that
Oh.
with Sam. You could actually get
Yeah.
one of them.
You
Just
could.
roulette.
Or you could even like draw it up like where it looks like she's getting handcuffs put on her, and then all of a sudden they find out. Wait a second, they find the evidence
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
this person was the killer, and what have
Yeah.
you. And she could, it doesn't take much to claim self defense, right? You could figure out a way to do that if you had to.
Oh, yeah.
If the person's a killer, then hey,
Yeah, if they're a killer, you're in this world, you're kind of like allowed to just do, and you have the
yeah,
benefit of the doubt at your side. Because if you think about it,
exactly,
Sydney has just always been found around bodies, and no one's ever
yeah.
put her to jail. So yeah,
And the other thing too that's interesting about Sam, and you mentioned it earlier, and it made me start making me think about it. But her and Sydney are so different
yeah,
because Sydney was this innocent. Now, granted, she's younger in the movie; she was in high school. Sam's a little older, but even that, she was this innocent girl who was still tough, even though she was innocent with her mom that happened to her mom, and we see her get stronger and not she doesn't devolve. She actually evolves in terms of her emotional state. And
yeah,
even when she has PTSD, and we see how, and it's brilliant how Wes grew her character
oh yeah,
because you could see the trauma she was dealing with, especially in 3, when she's seeing her mom and she's hearing voices and things. But never in that moment of any of those Scream movies before 5 did you ever feel like she was on the verge of losing it, of breaking down. Like
yeah, never.
she never. She always, and but when we have Sam, and she is such a different person than
Hmm.
Sydney. And on the other hand, I mean, look at what we're talking about. We're talking about the chances of her possibly breaking down and becoming a serial killer in 6. We would never say that about Sam. I mean, no, I mean
Yeah,
about Sydney. Excuse me, about Sydney. We never say about
yeah,
Sydney. So it almost seems to me like she's not. And I hate to say this, but and maybe this is a little controversial, Alex, but I don't know that she's fit to be the final girl. I don't
yeah,
know that she's mentally fit to be Sydney, the new Sydney. It just
yep.
seems to me like, you don't. That's not the one who's going to be the heroine, the new final girl for 5 movies, and. But I will tell you. You know what I mean? Do you have that
Yeah.
same feeling, or do you understand, or do you
And I think
agree?
it's because some of the personality is in
Yeah,
Tara. It's not in her.
it is.
And so I will forgive them for, and
Hmm.
not even forgive, like they need my forgiveness, but like
Right.
in 5, I mean, there just is a divide on Sam. Some people flat
Yes.
out hate her. Some people think she's very average, and I think all of those are fine. I do, and I think you can
Yeah.
love her too. Like that's totally cool
Sure.
as well. But
Sure.
I think I want to believe right now that they did that on purpose. That she is not even just a flawed character, like they made her a flawed character, but she's also just like not that great of a character
Yeah.
because what we want from her is
Hmm.
different from what they're doing with. You know what I mean? Like that's not
True.
her role is to be this like that's Tara. That's Tara. That's why she was put in. There she is, the best character in the movie. She is. She's I mean, by a mile, in my opinion. The more I think about it, I think about it every day. Tara, Jenna Ortega is the best. Well, I don't know if she's necessarily the best. I don't want to give scores to them, but she's definitely top tier in terms of the acting ability, and then in terms of the character, she absolutely killed it. So I think that is the character, and I think that Sam just isn't, but she's not supposed to be. She is supposed to be this
Yes.
more wild card, which
Yep.
could be cool. Like they
Yeah.
can do some cool. Now, if they let that go and they do nothing with it, then they messed up. And it's their, it's on them. I've never shied away from criticizing them, right? But
Sure.
I think she's got so much potential in 6, and we could very much respect her in a not more or less than Tara. We could just respect them differently because what they do with these characters is just so I mean Tara becomes Sydney and then Sam becomes just this wild that we've never seen a character like
Yeah.
that before, and we can respect that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Will they
Yeah.
do that? I think they'll go part of the way there, and
Hmm.
then the question is, will they go all the way or not?
Yeah. It's great points, and I think it comes down to how committed is James Vanderbilt and Guy Busick and Radio Silence to the character of Sam being the final girl. Because
Yeah.
if like that's the one they want, that's their darling, that's their sweetheart, this is going to be that's the one they want, then that's who it's going to be. And I mean, obviously, and then, but I also wonder again, man, I just can't help but and think to myself, when you think about Sydney, and I know it's probably unfair, but it is what it is. We're
It
gonna
is what it is.
it is
Yeah.
what it is. We're gonna compare her to Sydney because Sydney is
If
Scream,
they want to keep the franchise going and introduce new characters to take
right?
over main roles, you're gonna get the comparison.
You
And you're gonna
are,
bring back the OGs. Like you have to do it. You know what I mean?
yeah, you do. And I just question whether or not and to your and even the way she killed Richie, like you touched on it a minute ago, I thought was a great point. When Sydney kills the Ghostface
Anybody.
killers, she just kills them. It's done. She's not sitting there reveling in the moment and just and having a frenzied, savage attack. She just kills them. She just wants to get the
Yeah, so
job done.
you get it out of the way. Over. You kind of
Yeah.
feel like this power coming for her, where she feels very confident in her. You feel
Yes.
confidence, I guess, from Sam, but it's more like you're nuts. You're an insane person.
You are exactly, yeah, and you're unstable. And now
Yeah.
I just wonder now that she's had a taste. I would say sometimes once you have a taste, it's really hard. The temptation gets a lot more difficult, and I just wonder, if they're setting us up and they're trying to misdirect us, and then because they're so adamant that Sam's the final girl, like Radio Silence, everyone, all the interviews, it's all focused on Sam's.
And she is in this one. I
And
think
she is in this one. You're
that's
right.
the label. Yeah.
She is. No, she totally is. But I also think to myself, they've left the door open for us to question it. I mean, look what we're doing. We're questioning it now. So I think it worked. It
Yeah.
worked.
If we're
But
talking about it, then
yeah.
I think a lot of people. I just don't think you have two survivors in the way that and honestly, what's funny and what's kind of cool is going in. I didn't even think about this idea because I was saying Tara would be in the hospital. Because they even made that seem like it. Tara would be in the
Mm-hmm.
hospital like 90% of the movie. I thought
Yep.
Jenna Ortega would be great. Like I thought she was going to be a good character and all that stuff. But I thought she would get the Drew Barrymore treatment in the way that she's just barely in it. So she was good
Yeah.
in the beginning, but then she's just not in it. She's
She's
alive,
out.
but she's not the focus. No, that's wrong. She was
Yeah.
in her scenes, she outshined everybody, including Sam, every single time. And she was in it
Yep.
more than just the hospital because I actually didn't think she would go to the house. I didn't think she'd be there.
Yeah. Me
So
either. No.
that shocked me. So now leaving the movie, I was like, wow, I didn't expect to have a two-way. It was for me going in. It was like, well, Sam's gonna be the girl. She's not gonna get help from anybody else like a Tara. So if they don't do it well, then they're gonna it's gonna hurt. And if they do it well, fine. But then she actually did have a lot more acting support around her, which shocked me.
Yeah, no, for real. I mean, and I mentioned this before too, but I mean, oh my gosh, that scene right there, dude. The paying homage to Scream 4 with Olivia with the knife to the hand. I was like, oh, that's cool. But she went through more physical brutality than Sam did by leaps and bounds.
That
She
too,
mean,
like you injured Tara.
yes.
You didn't injure Sam in any way, shape, or so. Yeah, that is another point.
Yeah, I mean, Sam gets stabbed by Richie in the stomach, then
Yeah.
and that's it. I mean, and not I mean, not minimize, but what I'm talking about. But in terms of scale, I mean, Tara she got brutalized, man, broken ankles, smashed, and
And that makes her strong. That's
it
gonna make her
does.
very strong in the. Now, I don't
Yes.
love that she heals from these wounds in like 12 hours. That's a time problem,
We'll
but
call it
yeah, in terms of
good
her,
medication, Alex.
true. They did do the cop out with that. But yeah, I mean, going in the future, she's
Yeah.
gonna be just a stronger mentally.
Yes.
Again, like you also went through that chase. Like Sam's chase was
Right.
nothing
No.
compared to what Tara had to go through. So if you had to
Yeah.
assume who's gonna become stronger, who's gonna be stronger coming out of all this stuff, it's Tara. Tara's going to be the one,
Absolutely.
you know what I mean? She's going to be the one that if she now gets into a chase scene, here's how you'll know. If Tara gets into one more chase scene with Ghostface, she's the final girl, like permanent, like
Mm-hmm.
she is the Sam.
Mm-hmm.
I fully, you know what I mean? If that happens anywhere, even if it happens in the 24-minute mark of Scream 6, that'll be my indicate, or even the trailer. If we see Ghostface chasing Tara,
Yeah.
bam.
Yeah.
Because why are you giving her all of these things? These are things you
Mm-hmm.
would give to Sam if
Right.
Sam was the final girl, you know?
That's right. That's right. Yeah, 100% agree with everything you just said. 100%. I mean, and I thought the whole time, like, wow, they are brutalizing her, and she's coming through. And you know, not to repeat what you said, but I feel the same way. I'm like, she's going to be stronger from this, man. She's going to come through all of this physical brutality, and she's the one that killed Amber.
Yeah.
Think about that. She killed Amber, so they let Sam kill Richie and
Yep.
they let Tara kill Amber. So both final girls got a kill in the end,
Yeah, that's a good point.
you know. But who saved the day at the end of it was Tara was shooting Amber because she was charging out of the kitchen with her half burned off face, and bam, she just like the bullet hits her and it's Tara. So.
Yep.
If you think about it, Tara's the one that kind of because remember when Sydney had the gun in Scream, she's the one that shot Billy in the head to finish it off.
Yep.
Well, Tara does it in Scream 5. Tara parallels Sydney, guys, and
Yeah.
I'm saying guys they were watching, but Alex. So, and it kind of just dawned on me right now as a revelation. I didn't think about that before. Is that some kind of a hidden clue that maybe
It has to be, and but I
maybe
think also I think from the surface level, it's getting them all involved. It's giving Sydney
yeah,
and Gail, a chance to do it. But yeah, symbolically,
symbolically, that's the
symbolically,
word.
the person that finishes them off is very now like Dewey finishes off, Roman. So you could throw. There has been like
Yeah,
just things that are different, but yeah, the fact that Sam just on her own from beginning to end takes out Richie, think they had to do that to make her like respectable again maybe comes off the wrong way, but to truly like respect her
yeah,
as a character, you have to give her a lot on her plate to have to deal with, and they did. And then with Amber, it was more of Sydney and Gail have to do something, so we'll have them do
yeah,
most of the work, and
yeah.
then Tara will be, and also Tara's condition,
Sure,
being
yeah.
injured, she can't
Can't do
do as much.
much,
So,
right,
so yeah,
man. Now, boy, I really want to know. I'm excited to find out where this. And like you say, the trailer, which is golly, it's a year away, a year and a half away, probably at least. If they release the movie, I'm predicting. I'm going for the later date. I'm going for fall or like October of next year. That's what I'm
me
thinking. Now,
too.
some people
That's
are
what,
being
yeah.
aggressive and saying January of next year. I'm like, no, you could do it now. You could. I mean, Wes Craven, of course, Wes Craven is
And like they're filming Halloween
yeah,
ends right now, right? And
right
that comes out
now.
in October, so
That's
it is
right.
possible. But yeah, I
It's
think
possible.
yeah,
But I think it'd be better to wait. Don't
me too.
rush. Wait, draw it out, and then let's get to October. And it's still October of next year is not that far. I mean, that's really pretty
Yeah, it's
quick.
like tomorrow.
Yeah, it is. And relatively speaking, it's like tomorrow. So we'll have a lot of time to see and learn a lot of stuff. But I hope that the part of me really wants to see Tara be the lead. It really is.
Me
And
too.
and again, it's nothing against Melissa Barrera. And I know that a lot of people do love the character Sam, and I thought she did fine for her role. But to your point earlier, I think a lot of this was the writing. They wrote her to be, she's clearly taking her psychotropic medicine all the time. You see it, and and we see the wrestling with the hallucinations. So we know that she's not well. She's not sound. She's not stable. So if she comes off being super duper charismatic and all this, it wouldn't make sense, right?
Yeah,
Because medications dull the senses, and those especially those type of medications. So
yeah,
I think that as far as that's part of the reason why she didn't have that grab ability. I'll use that as a word that Tara did because she's kind of numb. She's
yeah,
kind of numb, and she's going to act that way and kind of a little bit unemotional a little
Which
bit.
is
You know what I'm
fine
saying?
as long as you do something with it. Because if you don't,
Yeah,
and all you, and I'm not saying like it is a good point, and it's something that you have, and I have seen the argument being made that also she does, I think, factually get better as the movie goes on,
I
which
do
is just
too.
more of her kind of
Yep,
opening up as a character, which is
that's right.
a writing. So I get that, but to be critical of her and Melissa Brera too, if all we ever like in 6 or 7, you know what I
Right,
mean? Like if they don't do anything, that I'm not gonna keep giving them it. You know what I mean? I'm
right.
gonna eventually have to say, well, you either have to have a payoff to what you're
Yes,
setting up, or she's not a good character.
right.
Like
I,
factually, you know what I mean? That's just
true.
how it is.
No, you're right. And I'll, like I say, I think we're giving them a little bit of leeway
But
because it's
yeah,
the
we're giving
first
them a
movie.
chance, and I think they've
Yep,
earned it. I think they deserve it. This is only one movie, and I think they could have
yep.
done so much worse. And
Yes.
so I'm willing to let them, especially with characters that has to be going somewhere. Like there has to be a
Yeah.
plan. I will let you finish the plan. Now, if the plan sucked, then you know what I mean.
I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, it is what it is. That's right. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, if we're sitting here after 6 is over and we're like, man, Tara just so outshines Sam, then okay, then we'll have it. It's going to be a different
that's a
discussion. It's going to be
problem.
like,
Yeah, that's a
yeah,
if we aren't talking about Sam in a different light, and if we're still comparing them as final girls, I think that means they messed up. Is we
yep,
shouldn't be talking about them in the same role. We should be saying, oh, well, did we like the different stuff they did with Sam because she's clearly
yeah,
not the final girl, but they did this with her character we've never seen. Like that needs to be the conversation. Because
yes,
if they're still fighting with each other, then they definitely messed up. Because then I'm only left to believe that they really want both of them to be like dual final girls, but they're just making one a better character, and that's on them. That's bad on them. So,
that's true, man.
yeah,
And I'll compare it to the to football. You know, most football teams that have a two quarterback system are terrible
yeah,
because there's no true leader. There has to be one in control.
yeah,
And if it's Sam, then we should be talking about boy Sam. Oh yeah, and also Tara.
yeah,
See, but we're not having that discussion. We're saying Tara and and Sam,
yeah.
and so I don't know, man. I personally just hope that this is all a setup, and then what we're going to find out is that Tara will be again the star of
And she's
6.
younger, like she's the younger now.
Yes.
Now the way they're doing it, I don't really think these like that was always like one of my main aspects is look at the age, which I do think is valid because they're 12 years apart in real life. Melissa Barrera is like a lot. Yes, she's only what she's supposed to be 25, but she's
25, 24.
31. So she's so much
Wow.
older than Nev was in the you know what I mean. She's more
Whew,
like
true.
Gail's territory of you
Yes.
know what I mean. So I don't know how much that'll matter because I don't really, let's be real. Do we think this can go another 25 years with Sam and Tara leading it? I just don't think that.
I don't
So
see it.
you know what I mean? So we're not going to have a complete replica of one again,
No.
but and because they're filming them so closely together, again, age maybe because she'll be like 35, 36 at the end of the final movie. Like it's not that big of a deal, but one of them is just dramatically younger that if you were to have somebody lead a franchise for 20 years, I don't think either of them will. But,
Right.
if you wanted that, which they probably do, Tara would be the one.
Hmm.
Jen Ortega would be the one, not the one who's 31, the one who's 19. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And I didn't realize Jenna was just 19 when
Yeah.
she's just
She was
19 years old.
18 when they filmed, 19 now, and
Yeah.
we're at 31. And I'm not saying like
Man.
age is some
All
massive age.
right.
I have used age to support Courtney Cox, being killed off in the movies too, just because of like life. Like, does she want to do it in the 60s? I don't know. Why don't
Right.
you ask her? Like maybe
Yeah.
she doesn't. Maybe she
Yeah.
doesn't. Does Nev? Now I thought Nev would want to be done eventually. It doesn't actually seem like she does, which is fine. I
No.
don't care.
Hey,
Yeah,
heck,
that's great.
absolutely, dude. If we're at Scream 12 and Nev Campbell's still floating around in the movie somewhere,
Whatever.
good. Let's go.
Yeah.
Bring her on.
Yeah.
She's earned it. It's her.
She's earned that right. Any of
Yeah.
them have earned those three. And then when you think of just the younger group, I just think of their age and think, well,
True.
if because that you never know. You could do three if they really want to go Star Wars. You could do three, and then maybe they want another 10-year. Because also you have to think about the franchise and Ghostface and like you can't keep going this quickly. You do have to have those breaks. Like Halloween,
Right.
you can't have a
True.
Halloween every year or every 2. You have to give it
Yeah.
5-10 years every
Yep.
so often.
You
And
do.
and that will happen with Scream. It just will because Ghostface is
Hmm.
too popular to let die forever. but you can't have them come out every year because the box office will collapse. You know what I mean? So then you
Yeah,
need a character with them. Nev won't always be there,
it's
and
true.
Tara could be.
Tara could be for sure, and I think you're like kind of like we saw with Wes's trilogy. If they try to mirror that, we had Scream one in December '96, we had Scream two in December '97, and then we had Scream three 2000. Right? It
Yeah,
was
a
2000. They
little
just
bit
like a
more of a gap.
2 year.
Yeah,
Yeah, they put a 2 year gap instead of a 1 year gap between those, and then that was it till 2011.
yeah.
That was it. And again, I go back on my Dimension horse because I still believe the Weinsteins are the reason that Scream 4 tanked. They're terrible. The marketing was so
And I
wretched.
don't know if did they want to wait 10,
Yeah,
11 years? I doubt it. But Nev also took like that, like 6, 7 year break from act.
she
So like
did.
you can't bring them back if she's not in the countries. So
Yeah, that's right.
so you have that. I don't think they'll ever willingly do that again. I
Yeah,
think
it's because 10 years is a long time. That
yeah,
is
but
true.
it's just going to be more of a read on how long do we need to go for people to care about this again? Do they
Hmm.
want to come back? Whoever's still alive, do they want to come back? Stuff like that. It's just going to be from
Yeah,
that perspective.
sure, sure. And yeah, you do need a 3 to 5 years of nothing.
Yeah, you need it.
You just got to kind of let everything simmer, let all this stuff kind of settle, and then stir it back
And it
up.
all
And
needs to come at once too, because like
yeah,
a TV show, as we learned from MTV Scream, doesn't work if it doesn't
yeah,
have movies going on around it. You know what I mean?
hmm,
Like you need
yeah,
Scream as one entity, and you're either all in or if that's why I'm worried about this TV show because they say the rumor is
yeah.
really early.
Right.
So what you're
I
gonna have
know.
it come out with the third film, and you want
Right.
it to be how many seasons? So now the show will be going on
Hmm.
without movies coming, and that's a horrible, horrible idea. I guess you could say it works. Like I don't really keep up with anything else like Chucky, maybe,
Right.
but I just truly don't believe Scream works without everything will help each
Hmm.
other. But if you
Yeah.
don't have the movies, the show's gonna just fail. I believe that.
Yep. No, I think you're right. It needs to lean on the movies, and also just the awareness, right?
Yeah,
The reason that you want to watch it. But I'm
yeah,
thinking to
it's because
myself,
of the movies. Yeah.
yeah, you want to watch it because of the movies, and so if it's an early development now, and I did a video on this also yesterday. I know what
Yep.
you're talking about, and I saw yours also. We chatted about it,
Yeah.
and so if they start development now, it's February, so let's just say they've got it up and they've got everything done by summer. They start filming in the fall. That show could come out next
That's fine.
spring,
Yeah, that's fine.
and it could actually come out before six. So
Yeah.
if they do the TV show in the spring and then the movie drops in the fall, then they do
That's
season
perfect.
two the following spring, which the movie just had, six had just come out like 5 months earlier.
Yep.
So you could ride the
Yeah,
coattails of
you could do
six.
3 seasons
You could,
realistically. Get
yeah,
whatever you want to do out there in the world and
yeah,
mirror it with the movies. Maybe you can
hmm,
have some characters depending on how big this Avengers like universe you're building. You could,
oh yeah,
but no, yeah, that's how you do it. That because I
yes,
get it. Shows move fast, so like being in pre-production or early production for a show that that could be resolved in 3-4 months. I just don't want an issue and then they're filming
yes,
when 2 is releasing and then, I mean everything just gets pushed. But
it gets
they have
pushed, yeah.
real potential, I think, with a show. I really believe
Yeah,
it.
I think so too. They just got to get on it and get moving, and let's make this thing happen. And and I'm also glad that it's not going to be on MTV because let's be honest,
Yeah. Well,
really,
what is MTV now?
well, I mean Paramount Plus, right? That's
Yeah.
who. That's that. They're gonna put it on their streaming platform, and so I think that's a smarter move. And plus it gives Paramount. It just makes sense. They have their own streaming platform. It just makes sense. It costs less money, and you just put it on your own thing. And hopefully with Paramount Plus, I mean, I have Paramount Plus as a channel on my Prime,
Yeah.
and I think more people are likely to see that than tuning into MTV. I mean, I know
Oh yeah,
they were
and you
trying to
and you
go.
grow your subscriber base,
You
I mean
do,
it's more than just for Scream too, which is good
yeah,
for them.
that's
Yeah,
right.
it makes so much sense to do this. I would have preferred that. I guess I get it if you line it up with 2 and stuff. I mean, I think it should have been happening before, but you're probably waiting just in case 5 didn't work and nobody watched it. So
Right.
I get it. But it's only rumors. Like we need to
Sure.
get We need to get the official stuff. And I think waiting on that's not a wise move. Like once they know, they need to be saying, okay, we're early. I mean, you see discussing film on Twitter and stuff. Like just you put out a
Hmm.
deadline article or something. You say we're working on an early concept for a Scream show. That's it. Done.
That's
You
it.
know,
Yeah. I mean, and I think you're right. I think there's something to be said about let's wait and see because the five tanked and they didn't make any
and nothing
money.
would work. Nothing is going to work if
No.
five tanked. You know.
Yeah, it's all over.
Yeah.
Uh, but on the contrary, it did work well. And I know we're spending a little bit of time on the TV show, but that's okay. But I just want to say one last thing about the TV show, and then we can move on to our kind of our closing ideas. But one thing I saw was that they were going to not go back to Lakeland. I blanked out. They're not going to go back to Lakewood, and so I believe it's Lakewood, right? I
Yeah,
think that's right.
Lakewood.
Yeah, Lakewood. And they're going to
Lakewood.
start with all new people. Which Alex, I want the Brandon James story. I want to end it. I want to know what happened. Who killed
Yeah.
certain. I won't give spoilers, but who killed certain people? Let's just say how
Yep.
it ended. And what are your thoughts on that? Like rebooting it again and starting over.
Yeah, I get it. I get it because you look at it and you say, all right, well, does 600,000 people care? So, and not to diminish, because those are your diehard fans. So there is something to be said about like doing right by Emma and these characters
Hmm.
and these fans. But, you know, do
Yeah.
people outside of those 600,000, do they still care? Would they still
Right.
actually watch it? The answer
True.
is no.
Right. It's true.
That is the factual answer because they didn't
Yeah.
watch it with season 2.
No.
Now I'm a big fan. I think I'm a bigger fan than most in terms of liking Emma and liking just the entire thing. So I want it back. I guess we just have to kind of it sucks actually because
Yeah.
it's one of those things where it's just so understandable to get why they just won't do it. And
Yep.
I just think they won't, and like I understand that, but it's like, well, I wish you would have. But to make it tied in with the movies makes sense. Do you want to finish a story that's 6 years old that less than 1 million people watched?
I
No.
know.
So, yeah,
No.
and I'm not like because I'm a huge fan too. So
Right.
like I'm insulting myself. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like I do care, but I get why they don't care about what we think about this story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
That's true.
different showrunners. Maybe it's
Yep.
like it's a different group that did 2 than 1, and then Dear
Hmm.
Jesus Christ, the Scream Resurrections was
Oh.
you know what I mean? So that was another new group. So I
Yeah.
don't know. Really, the only I would want a season 3 with Brandon James and all that stuff, but I also would want like the season 1 group to come back. The minds behind season 1, I want them to come back and do it. And it's honestly a coin toss if you would even get any of the creative minds that did season 1 and 2. The
Yeah.
best you'd get is the actors. The
Right.
worst you'd get is some of the actors and nobody that worked on seasons 1 and 2, so they don't even care.
Right.
True. I mean, they could rewatch it and stuff, but yeah.
They're not
So
invested in it though.
I
Yeah.
definitely want it, but to tie it in with the movies just makes so much sense. Streaming service,
It
tie
does.
it in with right now. You could even have a cameo. Like imagine Jenna Ortega appearing in it would be cool and would make
Hmm.
a lot of sense. It would work. It would be again like a Star Wars thing. That's
Yeah.
what it would be.
Yep. No, those are valid points, and the fact of the matter is, and I'm with you. I want it. I really want to see what happens, but it may just have been just too long. It's just too many years have passed, and if they come back with starting off here, all these new people who are brand new to Scream that are just now watching the Scream films, like, oh, Scream TV, let's go. Then they're going to see this mask that's not
Yeah, it's
even the
like
Scream mask.
what in God's name is the? I mean, I like the mask, but
Yeah.
you're right. You're
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
People would be like, this is not, and that's an issue because that was my biggest problem with the Scream show. Is it's not really even Scream. It's not. They
No,
just
it's
used
not.
the name and the
They did.
mask and the voice, but they
Yep.
clearly wanted to do their own thing. So, and that's
Yep.
fine. That's fine. I actually prefer that. But you're right. If you just throw people back in, they're gonna be, what in God's name
Yeah.
is this?
Who's
So if
this
you're gonna
dude?
do it,
Yeah.
you need to have the mask. You
Yep.
need to have Roger. It needs to be. I
Yes.
actually liked the voice. As Mike Vaughn is his name. I liked him in those, but it needs to be Roger. It
Oh,
needs to
yeah.
be. It needs to be VH1 or whatever. That Scream, but
Right.
better, like an actual show.
Yes, I mean that's the only thing. Something about resurrections, Halloween resurrections, wretched. Scream resurrections. And stop. Just don't use that word.
Yeah,
Don't
it's
use
over.
resurrections anymore. But they're never good. But the thing about Resurrections, the season 3, they did bring Roger back. They did bring the ghost face mask. Those were the two redeeming qualities for that season. But
Yep.
outside of that, yeah, definitely. So I think it does make sense that we're going to get a reboot. It's going to be a brand new, all new people, all new characters, but it better be Ghostface, and I think it will be. I think that's the
It
whole
will.
point,
Yeah.
and we'll see it happen. So real quick here, as we got our last maybe 5-10 minutes tops here, we'll wrap it up. So let's talk again now. We'll shift back over to 6 for a minute, and I can't do a Scream 6 discussion without doing this. So there's I think I know your position, but we may differ on this one, and that's okay. But I have to say, Alex, that since Scream 5 was announced, and even before then, I have been the conductor, the chief engineer of the Stew Train, baby. That is it right there. The Stew Train is on the tracks, and I am ready to roll. I have VIP seats, I have first class seats available, and I have coach seats available for those that are just not quite sure. I can get you on board either
If
way.
he's in it and you're not seeing an early screening, they've done something wrong. Can we
Oh,
say that? That's
yes, yes. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Yes. So, Alex, I'm all about it, and I've got theories of why it would work. I've invested in Stu. Okay, coming back, and I thought it might happen in 5. It did not, but we got. It's interesting that, and I'm setting this all up to. Then I'm going to turn it over. It's interesting though, Alex. In 5, we hear Stu's name a lot. Even in the opening conversation with Tara, when Ghostface asked her, who killed the original killer, she's like, it's Billy Loomis. And he's like, wrong. I can't do Roger L. Jackson. That's my closest I can do. Wrong. It was Billy Loomis and Stu Macher. I'm like, okay, we got a Stu Macher reference in the first 10 minutes of this movie, and so this is looking good. And then later
In
on,
the
we hear
trivia
Stu's name.
section.
Yeah, seriously, right. The trivia section. And then we hear about Stu's sister, which we didn't know about. So, his sister's out there, and his nephew's dead now, which is Vince. And that was quick,
Great
really
use of the
quick,
character. Yep.
right? And so we hear his name a lot. Never, when it's mentioned, is he ever referred to as dead, deceased, died, in his grave. No, there's never, ever any
Nothing.
mention of that, ever. And I was listening super close when its name came up.
Yeah.
So nothing was done on screen to confirm that he's dead. They could have put all of it to rest. And instead, what did they do, Alex? What did they do? No, they're not going to do that. But what they are going to do is they're going to tease us. They're going
Yeah.
to tease us with this.
That.
Really? Did the
They
real
dug
Stu
their own
Mucker?
graves, I would say.
I'm telling you, and I remember you've talked about this. How you're saying, you know what? They're doing it to themselves. I remember you
Yeah, they
saying
are.
this, and so here's my thought. There, I think that you can't reveal because some people say, well, why didn't they just like have some type of indication Stu's alive? Because you can't do that in 5 because it's too much. You've got new characters. You're trying to establish Sam and Tara. By the way, the OG3 are back. You got to get them caught up. And you got 2 hours to do all this. And you can't just bring in Stu, and then Kirby. We saw Kirby's blown up. She's alive.
And
So
actually, that's the best reasoning, I will say, to your side. What did they say with Kirby? They said this was really the only way to do it because they weren't going to give her some 10-second cameo because she deserves
yes,
more than that.
that's right.
You know?
Bingo. And I think that it does apply to Stu. I think it's groundwork. I think they're laying foundational work. They're planting little seeds about Stu in the minds of the viewers, getting it back in our attention, but not too much. But I think 6 and 7, if it's truly a long game trilogy, he could be 7 before they reveal him. But if Sydney returns, you always have Stu in play because Sydney's there.
Yeah.
So there's a connection to that. So I want to get your thoughts. I've kind of laid out like where I'm at on Stu. I want him back. What is your opinion on Stu? Do you care? Do you not care? What are your thoughts?
I care. I mean, I see it kind of down the middle. Actually, funny enough, I did a video that I don't think will go up yet, but I did a video specifically talking about Stu for 6. I
Nice.
see it both ways. I mean, I don't try to Like I play the middle a lot, and I don't do that purposely. I just kind of try to see both
Hmm.
sides because I
Yeah.
respect I respect your thoughts, and I respect the idea of seeing Stu back. And I think it's possible. And like you said,
Yeah.
with Sydney, it's always possible. Now you have Billy connected to
Yes.
Sam, so you've done everything you
Yep.
need to do. I mean, what can we say that? Like, it's so easy.
Yeah.
I think, but the only thing that still stops it, or would stop it, that I would say going into 5, and it would be the same thing going into 6, is just again, how much do they believe that people care? And
Hmm.
again, I'm not to diminish the people that care, but same thing with the TV show. Is it $40 million in the box office of people that care, or is it 100 million? Like, will the
Hmm.
people that go see this that have only ever seen 5 now, or only saw 1, 5, and now 6, like, will they care? And if
Hmm.
the answer is no, or it doesn't even matter. If they believe the answer is no,
Right.
he's not coming
Right.
back. He's not.
Right.
It doesn't matter that he could very well be alive in the world. He just
Hmm.
will never return. You know what I mean? And that's the sad. I but
Yeah.
again, as you said that I said, I think they do it to themselves. They want people talking about. If they wanted to shut you up, they could
Yep.
just do it.
Oh yeah.
That's
Oh, yeah.
it's very easy to shut us up.
Very easy.
You just have to show us or say something out loud. Now they have said stuff, I think, behind the scenes. Like I think they did. I think the directors once said Stu is dead, like that word. I think the TikTok account said it, but also
Right.
who actually cares about the TikTok account? Like who
Yeah.
again?
Right.
4,000 likes it would get. It
Hmm.
was a cool market. I'm not saying it wasn't cool. It was very clever and modern,
Yeah.
and it worked. But how many people actually watched it? Nobody. Nobody.
No, not
So,
really.
you know what I mean?
No.
So, like, the fact that they say he's dead, you know what matters is the movie. That matters.
Yes,
So, when you
that's
have an
right.
Easter egg that is like jabbing at yourself instead of just saying,
Hmm.
and I thought about this, I said this in my video that won't go up yet. Like, they live in Stu's house. Amber lives there. And,
Right.
and while they're not the biggest fan, like, the thing that separates Jill, from that, like Jill, I think was more of a fan of Billy and Stu, and then the fame aspect. These guys were just more focused on new source material, but focusing on but they are not
Hmm.
necessarily fans of Stu and Billy, at least from what I kind of
Yeah.
gather. I don't know if that's, what I mean, but they do know of them because of the trivia and all that stuff. And she
Right.
lives in his house. Why wouldn't you just throw in there that?
Hmm.
And I was thinking about this because we've talked about, like, well, throwaway lines, like, just saying, "Oh, I saw him at his cemetery," and, like, yeah, that would kind of seem a little weird to just throw in. But actually, now that I think about it, it wouldn't, because they were at his house. They're doing their monologue at the
Hmm.
end, where they just
Yep.
always just say whatever they want. Why couldn't Amber say, I went to his grave. I went to his grave because I
Yes.
live at his house, so I would know who he is. And so I saw him, and I got, like, inspiration from him. Like, you can't say
Yes.
that out loud. Of course you can.
Yeah.
So the fact that they're not saying things and then doing Easter eggs, yet that Easter egg is a fun little, it's fun. We made videos on it. We all had a laugh. But in reality, I get I actually kind of get mad at people that get mad at you
Yep.
for, like, because it's not your fault. If they want, again, they could stop
Right.
this
Yep.
whenever they want, but they
Absolutely.
choose not to. So
That's
ultimately,
right.
whether or not he's alive or dead, I would be blaming them. I would not be blaming you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that makes
that's a
sense.
defense of you, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's just a defense of, we have this right to talk about these
We do.
theories
That's right. We do.
because they do it to themselves. Don't have the Easter egg. That if they didn't have that Easter egg, I don't know if there's enough evidence to, like, yes, there's
Hmm.
the trivia and there's the house, but that's the thing too. Like, they used his freaking house.
It was
They
the
care
perfect
about him
chance.
you know what I mean? Like, they don't want you
Right.
talking about him so much that they
Right.
used his house
They
to
use his
redo it.
house. I mean, come
Like,
on, man. You're coming.
yeah,
You're going back to Stu's house. It's like
it's
they're stirring
hilarious.
the pot, dude. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, it's yeah. And you'd be surprised, like how many people like that just get. They're so upset. Like, no, this is no. He's not gonna. I mean,
And it's fine to
and
not
it's
want. It's fine
fine,
not to want him or to
right?
want, but it's not our fault
Yeah, yeah,
to
yeah.
bring it up when
Exactly.
radio silence is doing it. I mean,
Yes.
don't do the trivia line. You could swap it with something else. Don't go back to his house. I mean, yes, the house is symbolic of Billy too, but it's Stu's house.
Stu's house.
Like so
Yep.
don't
Well, then you
expect to
didn't.
do that and not at
Yeah.
least have question. And then instead of answering the questions, again, Amber really could have said that she went to his grave. I
Yeah.
think out of any
Oh,
character, it made the most sense for Amber to say it.
right.
So they had the chance,
True.
and she kind of acts like Stu a little bit.
A
By the
little
way, you know
bit.
what I
A
mean?
little bit. Yeah.
So like, why can't you just say he's dead? Instead, you have an Easter egg saying is the real Stu, which is a jab at the whole thing. So
Yep.
whatever, they do it to themselves.
They do it. Yeah, absolutely. And like I say, just one line like that. I went
It's
to
so
Stu's
easy.
grave.
It's so
It's
easy in
over.
that monologue.
Yeah.
You just add in Billy and Stu's name, and then Amber says, "Yeah, I went to his grave, got a little inspiration." It would be almost like a throwaway Stu line, like watch a few movies, take a few notes.
Few
Like it's
notes.
a
Yep.
it's a it's a big line, but it's a throwaway line. It's just
Yeah.
one line. So you could easily have Amber do something very similar and just
Sure.
say, "Yeah, went to his grave. I went to his grave, learned some things, whatever." And then it's like, "Oh, okay." Now, if
Yeah.
you wanted to keep saying, "Well, was he buried in his grave?" All right. Well,
Right.
now
I
you
mean,
can't. You
you
have
can.
that right.
Yeah.
But now they've said it, but they didn't say it.
Yeah. They didn't say
It's
it.
so easy to say that he's dead. Why can't
Right.
we just get it? And that's
And
another
that's
issue that I've
that's it.
said with these movies.
Mhm.
One of the biggest issues is like lingering effects of things. We don't
Yeah.
see characters, and that's not Scream's fault. It's movie, it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But we never see characters like get impacted by these things. Even the Dewey stuff, I think, could have been done a whole lot more. And this is what we said with the book tour. Like, you have a chance to add on to it in 6.
Yeah.
So, like, but we can talk about dead characters. Like, can we mention Jill? Are we allowed to do that? Like, sure we are. Like, why can't
Sure.
we? Can we
Absolutely.
see what a ripple effect kind of is? Like, I just don't get it.
Yeah, no, 100%, man. And I just think that there's a case to be made, and and of course I'm gonna always make it unless until the day I hear, like you say,
Just
someone on screen say, yeah, I went to his grave, or they show his grave, or Stu died 25 years ago.
Yeah, oh my God, just say that. Yeah.
That's
Because
it.
if you say that, if somebody mentions Stu and Sydney says Stu died 25 years ago, now that's not like photo evidence. We're not seeing his dead body, but
True.
that's close. I will accept that because that's a character that then you have to, you think about it. It's a character that has lived there. It's a small town. She would know. So
Yes.
if she says he died, you could say, well, does she really know? Did she see the body?
Right.
All right.
True.
Yes, I guess. But she's also a character that would know that. So I'm willing to allow that line is good for me. I'm willing to
Right.
take that line. Yeah, that's another killer one. Just mention Stu on the phone to Sydney and then say Stu died 25 years ago. And then bam, done. You're finished. It's over.
That would pretty much seal it up. Yeah, I mean, then like you say, if we wanted to continue to go down that road, then we're getting into the whole real conspiracy theories. Well, did he really die?
Fun.
Which is fun. It is fun, but it's less plausible.
Yeah.
The further you get away from that statement. So, yeah, fair enough, man. So the final word for you on Stu is you're okay either way, right? You're in the middle. You're either way's fine.
I want closure, kind of in the same way probably
Yeah.
you want. I mean, you want closure too. It's different. But I mean, I just want them to say something eventually.
Eventually.
Billy
Will
can
they-
say something too. Like Billy could
He
say
could.
something. Now, would that make any sense? No, because he's dead. So his thoughts, what does
that's
that
true.
even mean?
Right,
But,
yeah, that's true. Because his thoughts are really her thoughts,
Right.
Because they're hallucinations.
So him telling her
And-
that he's dead, it's like, well, do you know that? Because you're
yeah,
dead.
because
So
you're
it does-
dead. And you're not even a ghost. And with Radio Silence, I'm glad they clarified that in an interview that Billy is not a ghost; he is a hallucination.
Right.
So it's her own mind creating it. It's not a ghost coming to her, which I thought was glad. I'm glad they went on the record and just
So
got
he
that out of the
can't
way.
give like new, which I
New.
hope they don't axe it because they can, writers sometimes mess that up. No, you can never do new information
Nope, you
from
can't.
because it's got to be.
It's from her. It's from her knowledge.
Right.
That's what's coming out.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, definitely. So, guys, listen. As we wrap up here, I want to say, everyone, and you guys watching, You probably know Alex in podcasts now. The guy's a legend on YouTube. But if you have not visited his channel, be sure after this video, I'll have a link in the description below. Just click it. It'll take you right to his channel. And I want you guys to all go there and subscribe, watch his videos. He's got some great Scream videos. He's posting Scream content. I mean, like I said, I watched the one you did yesterday, the day before. He's got more coming out after this is posted. So be sure you subscribe and hit the bell notification on his channel so you'll see his videos the minute they come out. You're going to love them. They're really great. They're a lot of fun. And Alex is just a great guy to hang with and talk movies. It's such a good time.
Thank you.
And Alex, I want to say thank you, buddy, for today, for spending this
Yeah.
time with me talking Scream. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
It was awesome. I had a lot of fun, and I hope to do many more, and I'm sure we will over the next
Yes.
several years, even.
Oh, for real. No doubt about it. I mean, we're literally just getting warmed up with the,
This was the
and we
opening act,
the
truly.
opening act, very well. That's very well said. Because we really haven't even dissected five of them a whole lot yet, and we're already getting six now. So it's so much to talk about, and so yeah, we will definitely do this again very, very soon.
Yep.
And for anyone who's watching who may be new to my channel, if you haven't subscribed yet, smash that button and the like button on this video. It really does help the video after we go into replay mode. I really appreciate that. It helps other people find the video and see it. And if you like Scream content, then check out my other stuff. And it's all a lot of Scream, a lot of Halloween Ends, just horror in general. So we have a good time here at the channel. And also, I try to get better about doing this in my videos. If you have not yet connected with me on social media, you can find me here. You can hit me up on all of these, especially Instagram and Twitter. That's where I'm most active. But I am active on Facebook as well, just not quite as often. So if you want to catch me quick, hit me up on Instagram or Twitter, and we can catch up there as well. All right, Alex, again, thank you so much, man. This has been a blast, and I look forward to the next time we do this.
Sounds good. Anytime.
All right, buddy. Talk to you soon.